Bowing your heads, God, of everything, all the time, in every place. Grant us your wisdom. Allow us to walk and govern in your ways. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Okay. All right. Mr. Attorney. Oh, okay. They're telling me. What are you telling me, Madam Executive Director? Okay, if everyone could look at the photographer right there. They want us to look at that photographer. He's going to take a very, yeah. Mr. Attorney, while he's doing that, could you prepare the what we're doing?
Mr. Chairman, at this time, we should offer a reasonable opportunity for the public to be heard on all matters on your agenda.
Okay, let's look at the photographer now, you all. All right, smile under your mask.
I'm sticking my tongue out at you, bro.
Okay. You all are so mature. It's just really so mature. Let me just say also, just with the wireless mic system, green means your mic is on and people will hear you, and red means it's off and people will not. It's important to remember those distinctions. We have the setup, the same setup that the county commission had. So our public hearing, the public is actually not located in this building. They're in the lobby of the 111 building, and we're transmitting over there. I believe the attorney is about to present us with a reasonable opportunity to be heard.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to the advertisement that went out, there are 3 ways for the public to provide input. One was they were able to provide telephonic messages to be recorded and left up to 2 minutes. The deadline was by 5 p.m. yesterday. Second thing was they could have left email messages to be read into the record also by 5 p.m. yesterday. And then the third method is if they wish to address live, they could do so via the lobby of the Stephen P. Clark Center. At this time, we can ask the clerk if there were any telephonic or email messages that were transmitted to the TPO staff.
Yes, good afternoon. We've received 1 email message. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to read it on the record?
Yes, please.
This email is from Vincent Nastasi. Southwest Kendall is the least bike-friendly area in Miami. This is due to the lack of bike lanes, paved paths connecting with each other. Most bike lanes are less than a mile long and force you to share the road, which is legal, but drivers here are not accepting of this equity. This is not their fault. It's the infrastructure that affects their judgment on how to handle cyclists. The Country Walk area has multiple bike lanes and paved paths that do not join. I am asking for the connection of all these bike lanes to make them logical, functional, and safer for every cyclist. There are no more messages.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the lobby to be heard? Public hearing?
No, Mr. Chairman, there's nobody in the lobby at this time.
We're going to close the reasonable opportunity to be heard. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, with the closing of the reasonable opportunity to be heard, a motion to set the agenda is in order. However, my understanding is that due to the desire to expedite the meeting, certain items will be taken first. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, the first item after the approval of the agenda would be the non-public hearing, which is listed in your items 8A1, which is the request by TPO board member Jose Pepe Diaz on suspending for the duration of the coronavirus disease, the provisions which would not, in order to allow participation by Zoom, so long as there's a quorum physically present for all TPO matters. After that, we would take up the TIP amendment on project development, environment, and design phases for State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway project. Then would be the fiscal year 2021, 2022 through 2025, 2026 Florida Department of Transportation District 6 tentative work program, followed by the fiscal year 2021, 2022 through 2025, 2026 Florida Turnpike Enterprise tentative work program, followed by the State Legislative Advocacy Services Professional Agreements renewal, followed by the Federal Legislative Advocacy Services Professional Agreement renewal, followed by committee appointments of any vacancies that may exist. And then after that we would follow the agenda as printed to the extent there's time and a quorum still exists. With that, a motion to set the agenda as read is in order.
Hold on, Mr. Attorney. I think we have some add-on items and we have a substitute item, I believe. Don't we have a walk-on motion?
Moved item.
Mr. Chairman, I may have skipped one that the executive director has correctly pointed out, that immediately prior to the, after the item for the Commissioner Diaz sponsored item, the two items before that will be the special election to select the TPO chairperson, vice chairperson, and then the approval of the governing board meeting dates. That will be the first things we take up after the resolution suspending the rules authorizing Zoom appearance.
Okay, but isn't there an add-on item? I was told there was an add-on item. Is that already included as part of the agenda?
There are 3 add-on items at the pleasure of the board that may be considered. Agenda item 8A2 substitute. I believe all 3 have been distributed to the board members at this time. There's add-on item 8A11. That one is sponsored by board member McGee. And 8A12, that add-on item is sponsored by board member Monestein. And I apologize, I neglected to mention that 8A2 substitute is sponsored by board member Regalado.
Okay, and those are part of the agenda?
Upon the setting of the agenda, they will be added to the
Okay,
agenda.
thank you. With those added, I need a motion on the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Anyone wish to be recorded no on the agenda? So the agenda approved unanimously, Mr. Attorney?
First item is a request by TPO board member Jose Pepe Diaz, resolution suspending for the duration of the coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 state of emergency any provision of the Transportation Planning Organization bylaws, rules, or regulations that would prevent TPO governing board members or any other TPO board or committee member from using communications, media technology to participate in and vote on matters when 1, the required quorum of such board or committee is physically present, and 2, the remote presence is medically necessary. It's 8A1 on your agenda, and a roll call vote is required.
So
Chairman
moved.
Diaz.
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
the
It's
item
been moved,
is
it's been seconded. All right, any questions on this? Comments on this? Could you call the roll on this, please?
Board member Bermudez,
Yes.
board member Cohen Higgins,
I didn't touch it. Are you okay?
I did it with my mom.
Okay, you got Ghost in here too?
Call the roll.
board member Bermudez,
Yes.
board member Cohen Higgins. Yes. Board member De La Rosa,
Yes.
board member Diaz,
Yes.
board member Hardeman,
4.
board member Harris,
I vote yes.
board member Higgins. Yes. Board member Martell.
Yes.
Board member McGee.
Yes.
Board member
Yes.
Monestein.
Yes.
Board member Regalado. Yes. Board member Soto, I believe, is absent. And Chairman Gilbert.
I vote yes.
Item passes.
I believe we have a member who wants to participate electronically. Is Commissioner Soto reachable via Zoom? And I'm gonna, this stuff could fall on you. Excuse that. But this is our first time doing it. So, Commissioner, there he is. So this is our first time doing this. So I anticipate there will be some hiccups. So I just be patient with us because we're trying to work this out. COVID has, disrupted a number of things, and this is one of them. All right.
Clean our plastic.
Yes, including the plastic, like COVID just hit me on the shoulder. Yeah, but okay. All right, where are we at now, Mr. Attorney?
Next item on the agenda is the special election to select the TPO chairperson and vice
Mr.
chairperson.
Chairman.
At your pleasure, there's a motion, if you would like me to
Commissioner
read into the record concerning this.
Yes.
This would be a motion by the chairman, Gilbert, to waive Article 4 of the TPO bylaws to allow for the term of chair and vice chair ending January 2023 to commence immediately after today's election, as opposed to at the conclusion of the January TPO governing board meeting. Consistent with Article 4 of the bylaws, the chair for the term shall be a county commissioner, and the vice chair for the term shall be a non-county commissioner.
Okay, I'm gonna move the item. Let me explain the item. With the county commission, what has happened is the chair didn't take power immediately. So we don't want to have a second election. And so this will just, whoever's elected, then they're elected and they just serve the next term. So we'll just be done with it. We don't have to not have another election in January. So I'll move the item.
Thank you. Not gonna make a nomination.
What, we need to get this one, the second.
Second.
So moved and second. Anyone wish, do we need a roll call on this?
A roll call is not required, but it does require a 2/3 vote because you're waiving the rules.
Okay. Anyone wish to be recorded no on this? So adopted unanimously. Commissioner Diaz, Chairman Diaz, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you. And Oliver, I'm going to be very straightforward, Mr. Chairman, that you have done an incredible job in the past, and I would, if I could be honored to nominate you again as the chairman for this board, would be a great honor for me to do so. And as we move, hopefully, past this pandemic by sometime in several months, we will make things happen in a great way. So my motion is to, my nomination is for you, Chair Gill.
I second.
Mr. Chairman, assuming that there are no other nominations, if it's the will of the board, we can dispense with the distribution of ballots and just take one voice vote.
Anyone wish to be recorded no? Thank you all very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now on to the vice chair. The vice chair has to be someone who is a non-county commissioner. And
I'll make a motion, JC.
I will second that. I'll second that.
Oh, we're in for it.
Yes. But can we have like a friendly amendment to that motion that he has to wear a tie at least like once a month or something? He has to wear a tie. He doesn't wear ties anymore.
too? As you did with me?
He used to wear ties. I mean, I'm just saying. But no, I second that. I second that motion, definitely. Are there any other nominations?
If you don't mind, I need to second that motion.
There you
There's
go.
too many years of friendship, and he is one of my members that I deal with all the time.
It is seconded by the
Great.
chairman. All right, so any other nominations? Anyone wish to be recorded? No. Congratulations, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for the support, and certainly I promise to start wearing a tie every once in a while.
Every once in a while, that's all I ask.
Yeah, it wouldn't be you.
Thank
though.
you.
Okay, what's the next?
Mr. Chairman, the next item on your agenda is the approval of the 2021 TPO Governing Board meeting dates.
Okay, I need a motion. Oh,
So
I'm gonna do
moved.
meeting dates. It's been moved, it's been seconded. All those in favor? Or does that be all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, show the meeting dates adopted.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, is the fiscal year 2021 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment, addition of project development, environment, and design phases for State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway Project.
moved.
Resolution approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2021 Transportation Improvement Program to add the project development, environment, and design phases of State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway Project from south of Northwest 36th Street to Northwest 154th Street, FM number 447165-1. A roll call vote is required.
It's been moved by Chairman Diaz, it's been seconded by Mayor Harris or Mayor Martell, one of them seconded. And any questions or comments from the dais? Call the roll.
Board Member Cohen Higgins. 4. Board Member De La Rosa.
4.
Board Member Diaz.
Yes.
Board Member Hardiman. Board Member Harris.
Oh, yes.
Board Member Higgins.
Yes.
Board Member Martell.
Yes.
Board Member McGee.
Yes.
Board Member Monestein.
Yes.
Board Member Regalado.
Yes.
Board Member Soto virtually.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bermudez.
Yes.
Chairman Gilbert.
I vote yes.
Item passes.
The next item is a resolution endorsing the fiscal years 2021, 2022 through 2025, 2026 Florida Department of Transportation District 6 Tentative Work Program.
Okay. I need a motion on the item.
So moved.
It's been
Second.
moved. It's been seconded by Vice Chair Bermudez. Questions or comments on the item? All right, do we need to have a roll call on this?
No.
Anyone wish to record it? No. Show it adopted.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank all that attended the little field trip that we did the other day. And I want to thank staff and all those involved, including Florida Department of Transportation. It really made a huge difference to be going there and seeing what actually was taking place. And I want to be very clear that what was presented a long time ago here did not really resolve as to what we saw and what was told to us there. And that's why I moved the project so fast and so on. So I wanted to thank everybody involved. And Lee, thank you so much for your executive director. Thank you so much for everything you did in making that happen. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I do have to have another engagement. I would like to possibly be with this.
You, hold on, before you leave, can we have a motion on all the items that can be taken together because he is the actual quorum number?
I am.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if you're gonna lose quorum,
Well, I'm going to lose quorum, so yeah.
I have a motion that I'd like to read on the record beside what was earlier suggested by the attorney.
Okay. Okay.
I'll move all the other items.
Let's do this first. Let's move, what can we move all together, Mr. Attorney?
I will read the resolution endorsing the fiscal years 2021 through 2022 through 2025, 2026 Florida's Turnpike Enterprise Tentative Work Program. Also, the State Legislative Advocacy Services Professional Agreements Renewal,
Mr. Chairman.
the Federal Legislative Advocacy Services Professional Agreement Renewal, and the approval of the minutes of
Hold on,
October
Mr. Attorney.
22, 2020.
Mr. Attorney,
That
hold
we
on
can
one
move
second.
it all at one time.
Right, I think it will help us very much so if you identify the by item number first, so that people can follow you.
Yes,
You're reading the titles, and it's very difficult to follow reading the titles.
that would be agenda item 8A5, 8A8, 8A9, and 8C1.
Okay. All right. And does anyone wish to report, do we need a roll call on those?
Those do not require a roll call vote.
Does anyone wish to be recorded no on those items? Okay, show those items adopted. Now, Madam Executive Director, is there anything else? Because there's certain things that have to go before the legislature. If we don't get them done today, we have to call a special meeting. Is there anything
Yes,
else?
Mr. Chairman, 8A4. 8A4 is the approval of the District 6 work program, our funding, transportation funding here.
Okay, we have to do the work program. I move the work program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there are two comments that have been submitted to the attorney to be read into the record with the work program.
Read fast.
Yes. Board Member Heyman has requested the below statement to be read into the record upon the hearing of agenda item 8A4. The Julia Tuttle interim project was unanimously approved as a TPO priority in 2019 and further supported by the FDOT Secretary in 2020. As such, it is requested that the Florida Department of Transportation provide a status update regarding the progress of the interim improvements along the Julia Tuttle I-195 FM numbers 448175-1 and FM number 448175-2, and for FDOT to describe its fulfillment of commitments to initiate interim service at the next TPO governing board member. Board Member Monasteem has requested the below statement to be read into the record. The State Road 7 Northwest 7th Avenue Landscape Project from Little River Drive to south of Northwest 118th Street, FM number 430817-5, is funded for construction fiscal year 2022 in the proposed FDOT tentative plan. And as such, it is requested that the Florida Department of Transportation provide a status update regarding the proposed landscape design in fulfillment of commitments made to the community at the next TPO governing board meeting. And in addition, Board Member Monasteem wanted to make a motion, if I may. It would be a motion to direct the TPO Executive Director or designee to develop a scope of work and budget for a feasibility study for the development of a pedestrian bridge connecting the east and west lots of the Golden Glades multimodal facility. Those are the
Okay.
three motions. You could adopt them all at one time
You
or
have a motion
sever them
also?
as the board wishes.
Commissioner Higgins, you have a motion? Okay, then I will move all of those items. I need a second for all of those items.
Second.
It's been
I move in
seconded.
second.
Okay, anyone wish to be recorded no on those items?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Do we have any sense on the last item, what kind of a budget implication it would be, or is it just developing scope of service? We're not committing to spending any money,
We're
we're
not
just doing
spending
scope
money.
of service?
The motion would be for the director to develop a scope,
Yeah.
present it to the board with a cost, and then the board would then vote on whether they wish to proceed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Regalado.
Thank you very much. If we could go through the resolutions that we submitted quickly, because if we lose quorum, we can't vote on those either.
Okay. Let's finish this. Anyone wish to record a no on this? No? Okay, those are all adopted. Now, the resolutions. Mr. Attorney, can we take them all together? No? Can we? No, okay.
At the pleasure of the board.
Well,
He says a pleasure to vote.
yes, please then. Let's do that.
Okay, the next item is 8A2, request by TPO Board Member Raquel Regalado. Resolution authorizing the TPO Executive Director or designee to prepare a scope of service and budget to conduct a feasibility study to implement grade separation and manage lanes along the South Dade Transitway of the
No,
Strategic
that's-
Miami
you're
Area
reading the
Rapid
wrong one.
Transit
It's
Smart
the-
Plan, and I read the original and not the
Yes,
substitute.
there we go.
The substitute is resolution authorizing the TPO Executive Director or designee to prepare a scope of service and budget to conduct a planning level assessment of existing infrastructure and right-of-way at cross intersections along the South Dade Transitway of the Strategic Miami Area Rapid Transit Plan, 8A2 substitute.
And if I could, really
If-
quickly,
Let him finish.
You
reading
wanted
the
me to
rest
read
of
all of
and then
them
we'll do
at the
it.
same time? Okay. 8A6 is a resolution designating Miami-Dade Department of Transportation and Public Works as Miami-Dade County's Community Transportation Coordinator for the next 5 years from July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2026. 8A7, resolution approving a $500 payment to be provided to the statewide Metropolitan Planning Organization Advisory Committee, MPOAC, for their legislative advocacy activities during fiscal year 2021. 8A10 is a resolution authorizing the TPO Executive Director to register TPO board members to the Florida Metropolitan Planning Organization Advisory Council, MPOAC, online orientation for elected officials. 8A11, which is the add-on resolution modifying TPO Resolution Number 31-18 to direct the TPO Executive Director designee to take any and all necessary steps and actions to accomplish the conversion of the South Dade Transitway of the Strategic Miami Area Rapid Transit Smart Plan to Metro Rail. And 8A12, which is resolution urging the Florida Department of Transportation to develop a plan for the revision of the current median opening access points along State Road 7, US 441, Northwest 7th Avenue from Little River Drive to Northwest 157th Street and report to the TPO Governing Board within 30 days. Mr. Chairman, on 8A11, you indicated that you would want perhaps
Yes,
a friendly
I'll explain it right
amendment
now.
to that item. I
I'll
can read
explain it
that
right
now, or if you want to take that separately.
No, I'm gonna explain it right now. I read the item, I asked the attorneys about it, and I think it's a good idea because they said that what it does is prepare that corridor to go from BRT to rail. But I did not understand it because I didn't think the language was clear. And so I just asked them to come up with very, very, very direct language about what we were trying to do. We were trying to remove the ridership level. Let's remove the ridership level. And so if you could read that, please.
Yes, the language would be, in the now therefore be resolved by the governing board of the Transportation Planning Organization in its role as the MPO for the Miami urbanized area, that this board hereby modifies TPO Resolution Number 31-18 to direct the TPO Executive Director or designate to take any and all necessary steps and actions, including the placement of an item on the board member to accomplish the conversion of the South Dade Transitway of the Strategic Miami Area Rapid Transit Plan to Metro Rail. After the word resolution number 31-18, it is by eliminating the 35,000 daily ridership requirement.
Commissioner McGee, is that what you're trying to accomplish with that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's a start. The language that we originally had before this board, I believe, was succinct and very much on point to accomplish what we were trying to accomplish. But if the chair has some reservations at this moment, I see no need to contest that reservation as it relates to the matter. But if the chair sees it fit, then I will be willing to say we can forego the amendment to the resolution 31 we can forego the amendment and just stick with the language that we originally had.
Yeah, I don't have a preference. We can actually leave it there as long as we're clear about what's actually trying to be, because when I read the language, I didn't know what it was doing. So
So
I can leave it. I don't need the language. As long as we're clear about what we're doing. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, to avoid any confusion, if this item were adopted, this in of itself would not change the locally preferred alternative. This would direct the executive director to do whatever necessary legwork and preparation in order to present an item to the governing board in order for there to be a vote to change the locally preferred alternative. What this is doing is basically saying that the threshold is no longer a 35,000 boardings, but that the director should come back with an item to consider the modification of the locally preferred
I'm
alternative.
good with it staying the same.
thank you, Mr. Chair, permission to speak?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the attorney, just want to make sure the commentary that was just mentioned, does that went directly to the amendment, or did it go to the original modification language that was filed? Your interpretation that was mentioned to this board a few seconds ago, was that the interpretation of the proposed
Of the
amendment?
original, that there would be further action required.
Right.
Because this in of itself wasn't adequately noticed, reasonable opportunity to be
Right.
heard and so forth for the public
Okay.
to have changed the locally preferred alternative, but this is directing the executive director to do that legwork to come back to change it, as opposed to waiting for the ridership to be 35,000.
Okay, and so, Mr. Chair, at this moment, if it's okay with the chair, I would like to propose an amendment to clarify this for this board. And that's simply
Hold on
to,
1 second then. Let me make sure. You didn't want to speak on this item, did you, Commissioner Higgins? Okay, let me let him finish and then I'll let you go. Go ahead.
so what we'll do, Mr. Chair, if it's permission, is also to the item that I filed, we can remove the ridership number to clarify.
That's
By eliminating the 35,000 daily ridership requirement.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, Commissioner Higgins. And
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar to my comments that were made earlier on the commission, what I'll do is just speak once on 8A2 and on 8A11. Both of them structurally try to revisit and relitigate the decision we've made 2 years ago to move forward as a TPO and as a county on moving the SMART plan forward. We begin to recircle, restudy, and potentially send extremely mixed messages to our state and federal colleagues about when this board picks a locally preferred alternative. Months later, we could change it even after the federal government has already given us the money to move forward. Again, we got a lot going on, and I want to compliment you as our chairman, and this TPO has made a lot of decisions on transit. I would say more than probably in the past 30 years. We have come to consensus about, and for the first time in many years, gotten money from the federal and state government to build one of our smart corridors out in the South Dade corridor. We have made, and we pushed, but we made a very innovative decision on the east-west corridor, which will, in my belief, have the ridership number and be able to get federal and state funding. We know we are going to be needing the respect of the state and the federal governments when we go forward with the north corridor. And so we got a lot of work to do to build our SMART plan out. And we have one corridor ready to go that'll essentially be breaking ground in like February. And to begin relitigating it for me is a real problem. We have our work cut out for us. The residents of this county expect us to get them moving. The south corridor is already en route, and I would prefer that we continue to focus here at the TPO on building the rest of the corridor. So respectfully to the two items, 8A2 and 8A11, I will not be able to support them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you. Commissioner Regalado and then Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Just quickly to clarify, my item 8A2 does not impact the BRT. This is an item that gives us information so that we can deal with what occurred at the end of the negotiation of the BRT. When the county commission allowed this project to go forward, the county commission also agreed to an MOU with the state regarding 24 intersections directly adjacent to the BRT that belong to the state. All I'm asking for is more information on the other 22 intersections. The MOU creates a traffic mitigation plan and strategy with reports and help for the neighbors when they complain. And there is an inequitable situation between the neighbors that live in the intersections that are owned by the state and those that are owned by the county. That is something that the county commission will have to deal with. But in order to be able to move forward with that conversation, we need information on those intersections. We need to know what right-of-ways are available, what the pedestrian impact would be. And this is a post-BRT analysis. And what I'm asking for is the information. And I think that it's good policy. I think that as we move forward with transit projects, we should ensure that all the intersections have equity and that we are informed so that when if people complain, we can mitigate those complaints. So it doesn't impact the BRT in any way. It doesn't undo or litigate. In fact, what it's doing is future-proofing those intersections so that we as a board know what options we have should we get to a point where there is more congestion than the traffic study that was done, paid for, and approved by the state in order to move forward with this project. So I would ask for your support. I think it is equitable. As many of you know, who owns the street that you live on should not determine your access to use that road. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Yeah, I want to be supportive of both these items under the understanding that the statement made by the county attorney is clear. But I do share the concern that when we revisit, as I understand it, Mr. County Attorney, just to clarify, the only thing we're doing here is at this point, in particular on 8A11, is removal of the 35,000 daily trips. Is that correct?
You're removing that as a prerequisite for preparing an item and directing the executive director to prepare an item, but you are not changing the locally preferred alternative.
Okay, so if the director's directed to prepare that item, is it your understanding then that we would have a vote on whether or not we move forward with the decision that was made back in 2018?
You would, at a future TPO meeting, have a vote as to whether you are modifying or changing the locally preferred alternative, correct?
Okay, I'm going to support it because I have deference to Member McGee, but I will say that one of the things that the TPO has been able to do in the last couple of years, and I share the same thought process Commissioner Higgins has, that once we take a decision, we need to move forward. I just don't want to imperil any federal dollars. So I hope, Madam Director, that when you come back with that report, part of the analysis is, will we have any delays in anything that could be done in that corridor that we discussed ad nauseum, because if I remember correctly, we had to have call everybody in to finally take a vote. So the only thing I would request at this point would be that you certainly be very clear as a director as to if in fact any change will impact the timeline of moving forward on the BRT option for the South Corridor. But I'll be supportive of that.
Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a comment on 8A2 and 8A11. Both of these affect my district in the South Fade, and I do have a few questions regarding both of these items. It is my understanding as I read these resolutions that neither is going to be disruptive to the timeline, funding, or any of the ancillary contracts associated with the bus rapid transit. And Mr. Attorney, can you confirm whether or not that understanding is accurate?
8A.
Mr. Attorney, just if you will, that's not necessarily a question for the attorney. That's more a question for Alex Bravo. She has confirmed this doesn't actually slow down any of either projects or the contract.
Okay.
Neither one of these things slow it down. That's what I got up and asked her. I was going to say that. So and I know that we're about to lose quorum, so I need us to.
I will be
To
brief.
her point, to her point, I want to be clear. Alice, can you stand up, please, over there? All I want is to make sure, because I agree with everything that's been said, but we do not want to go backwards. And I understand what Member Regalado is trying to do, so I just want to hear clearly, as is Commissioner Cohen is asking, is this affect us in any way to at least continue the study going?
Alice Bravo, Director of Transportation and Public Works. No, what Commissioner or Board Member Regalado is talking about is analysis afterwards and making sure that the project doesn't have impacts and us addressing that. So that does not stop or delay the project in any way.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Alvarado, is the same true for item 8A11?
The removal of the 35,000,
Yes.
yes, that does not impact the project at all. That was originally meant as a threshold in which a transition to another mode would start, so it doesn't affect this project at all.
Thank you for that clarification. And Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add, I don't think it's my colleague's intention to disrupt or delay in any way. We have new board members, and I think we should give them the opportunity to present fresh ideas to help with our critical transportation issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments? I think you probably had better go ahead and, does anybody wish to report it? No.
What?
I know. On just those two items. All right. Anyone else wish to record it? No. All right, show them adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We clear?
Do I need anything else?
Was
Or
that,
any
was that
You're not doing
motion,
appointments. I
Mr.
can-
Mr. Chairman, was that motion on 8A2 and
It was on all, yes.
that was on all of them,
Yes.
including 8A6 and 8A7 and 8A10?
Yes.
The only thing left is committee appointments if anyone wishes to fill a vacancy.
We're gonna just go ahead and skip that now, but before everyone leaves, I know the chairman has to leave, but before, I just want to say that it's been a pleasure being your chair for the last 2 years, and I didn't do anything, we did a lot. We had a very successful board, and we worked together at the behest and for the residents of Miami-Dade County and the business of Miami-Dade County. The TPO couldn't have done it by ourselves. Eileen and I and all of the staff here. Alice Bravo, our Director of Transit in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for being a wonderful partner. I appreciate your service to this county, and I appreciate everything you've done in helping us move the transportation projects, the transit projects in this county forward. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you, Eileen.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I was
Yes.
told that Vice Chairman Bermudez would like to make an appointment, and if we
Commissioner,
could
before you
do.
leave, Commissioner, yes, I have one appointment to the EPTAC, Alejandro J. Puga. I'd like support for
Go.
that, if anybody has any objection.
Move it. Move
Thank
it
you.
second. Anyone support it? No. Show them appointed.
With that, your agenda is complete.
Thank you.
Show us adjourned.
Congratulations.